Hey guys, it's Saf coming at you with another Raid Shadow Legends video, and in today's video I want to talk about the Yuletide event and also the final sort of champion chase summoning event of the fusion that we have going on right now for Blizaar the Howler. He looks really cool. I decided to do the fusion in the end because I realized that I would have to do the majority of the tournament events anyway, so I might as well double dip and get the fusion at the same time. I've been progressing pretty well. I've still got most of the events active today to do. I'm out of silver, so I'm trying to get some silver here to do the final fragments for the artifact enhancement. Champion training, we're working towards just getting the last few ones there as well. And the dungeon dives has just come in today on a staggering 3,700, which is exactly what you want to do right before Christmas time. That's exactly, everyone wants a big dungeon diver. Not. But we've also got as well a finite event that's going on. That one I need to do today. I held it back because of the dungeon divers. I didn't really burn much resources yesterday because I was waiting for the dungeon divers. And then the main thing we've got is, of course, the Champion Chase Tournament. Now, I was apprehensive coming into this because the last time we had this sort of hybrid model where there was epics that you fused to make the legendary, but you had to fuse the epics, they hiked the points on the Champion Chase quite a lot. It was up at 3,150. And that paired with the fact that we've got Tormin, I was worried this was going to be like a 3,500 point breaker. But thankfully, it's only 2,500. And especially on a ×2 void as well, which is probably for the majority of players a more desirable event. It feels pretty accessible to get this. Now, I'm going to be able to do this without summoning barely any shards because I have a lot of champions that I've been waiting to pull. I haven't acquired my Tormin yet, so there's lots of points that I'm going to be able to get today for that particular event. Now, we've got a ×2 void going on right now, as well as a ×10 for the new Void Legendary, Carolon the Ringer, our new Sonic version, I guess, a Night Rev version. Now, when we first saw this champion, I looked at it and I was like, this is like the worst Void Legendary they could ever achieve, right? Because the whole philosophy around this champion is when you freeze someone, you do more damage. Now, if anyone doesn't know, when you freeze an enemy, they take 25% less damage whilst they are frozen, which is why you will never see many people suggest that you use freeze debuff as a method of controlling your enemies in arena, outside of the rare occasion if you've got a Gurgo the Augur, because actually he does a lot more damage to a freeze target, right? If he's attacking a freeze target with his A3, he hits twice. If he's attacking with his A1, he hits again on that A1. So you can actually use him as a control and a nuker, and he bypasses the freeze penalty because he does extra hits. But outside of that example, most people will not run freeze in the arena because you're penalizing yourself before you get going. And to be honest, ignoring 20% of the target's defense if he places a freeze is not exactly like mitigating the loss of 25% damage. Yes, it will help, but it's not going to be a big deal. It's not crazy. The other thing as well, with a polymorph meta, placing a debuff is really difficult. There's also stone skin, protection sets, block debuffs, high resist. There's loads of different options that make this very unviable. So when we first looked at him, I was like, well, all he is a hex and a weakened champion. And we've got champions now that can do a lot of hex. We've got Mithrala. Everyone gets Mithrala. It's a really good hex champion. Akemtum's a very good hex champion. We've got champions such as Marinix, excellent hex with decreased defense. So you've pretty much got loads of different hex options that are available to you. But what I realized when I was looking at this morning, because everyone was reminding me yesterday, hey, you should wait for Saturday because you get Jorgid, and potentially that's still the right decision, is if you ignore his freeze mechanics, he makes a considerably powerful speed lead because we get a 30% speed aura. So you can basically use him like a Kaimar or an Arbiter where you can put them in and then you know you're going to use them as the leader. And this ability here is the key thing. It books to a 3-turn cooldown. So he will place a freeze on all enemies, and then he fully depletes the turn meters of all enemies that receive the freeze debuff. But if he doesn't place the freeze, if it gets resisted or blocked, then he fills the turn meters of all allies by 10% for each freeze debuff attempt blocked or resisted. So if we're talking in a PvE setting, well, you can't freeze any bosses because it will block the freeze. Well, that means everyone is about to get, in Hydra, a 40% turn meter fill. In bosses, a 10% turn meter fill. In Spider, if you don't run accuracy on him, that's a 100% turn meter fill to all your allies. So what I'm looking at actually is, if we ignore the freeze mechanic and we assume that we're not going to place freeze, we get, in Arena, we get a 40% turn meter fill for every 3 turns, alongside a big aura. Now, yes, these other abilities are not exactly great for Arena, like we don't really care, but he is an all AoE champion, so you can run like a stun set in him, a bit like a Mighty Uko or Provoke set. This ability is very good for arena as well, but it does kind of conflict with the idea of not running accuracy. You would need accuracy to reduce the duration of all enemy buffs, but it is a 50% chance to do that. So that's pretty good on an A1 as well. I actually think he's better than I originally thought. We might need to review the ratings on hellhades.com because I think the whole thing about freeze probably biased us against him because we don't really value freeze in arena. But if you take the freeze concept out, he's actually a tremendous turn meter booster. And then in Hydra, he'd be really good because essentially you can't freeze in Hydra. So you get a 40% boost to all of your allies every 3 turns alongside a Hex and a Weaken that goes on for 2 turns, not 3 turns, 2 turns. And we can decrease anything like the Reflect debuff that the Suffering Head puts up or the buffs that the Wrath Head gets when he goes into his Vengeance form. If you've had the Mischief steal some buffs, you can decrease the duration of those buffs. It's actually quite powerful. On an A1, it is not bad. You can run him as a Provoke set in Hydra. The aura is not very good in Hydra, but I absolutely think he's better than I thought. So I'm going to be pulling some voids today, just in case I get him. And really, I don't want to wait until tomorrow to do all my void shard pulling. But I'll show you exactly how I'm going to get enough points. So we need 2,500. The first thing I'm going to do is acquire Tormin. There's my 650 points. Tormin is now a champion in my roster. Now, I don't know if this is going to work as well. I claimed the promo code for Giscard, but I didn't claim him yet. Let's see if this is actually going to give me 250 points. I think not. I don't think that one worked. I think I should have claimed him. Yeah, so that one's not going to work. I should have claimed him today, not the other day. So that's 250 points I lost, which is a shame. But that's the reality of that. Then we confuse our first Bovos. Now, I have enough events that I confuse a second Bovos here. So there's 250 points. Does have a cool little magical seal going on for him. Look at that. Wow. He's decided to just lump a rock around with him. Go figure. And the other thing I want to then do is I want to pull Chronum out of the vault. Finally, I've got Chronum. Big thank you to all my community for helping me with the referral grind. Because Chronum is actually good for a lot of Sand Devil. I've been waiting to do like videos to show that Chronum is just as good as Ninja in Sand Devil. And he's also very good for the new Amius boss as well. So we're going to summon Chronum. That's going to be another 500 points. There we go. Chronum is really basically, if you don't have Ninja, you go get Chronum. He's as close as you're going to get to Ninja, and he does a pretty good job subbing in for him, mainly because he can work well with Jamasa. You do need the Jamasa to make a lot of his stuff viable. And the other champion I want to pull is Jetney, because for a specific stage in Soul Cross, I think it's S2, Soul Cross Stage 2, you kind of need the Jetney's AoE decreased defense, so I'm going to pull Jetney out as well. That gives me another 500 points. So I've already claimed 650, 500, 500, and 250, with the potential that I could have got another 250 points had I been more sensible. You can see I'm already close, 1900 points already to get in this final Bovos. So with the 4 Void Shards I've got, I've not had to invest too much. Yes, I have kind of reduced the pool of like legendaries I've got available to me, and this will dry up a lot now because there's no Doom Tower epics anymore. So you can see all the ones that are left are basically my daily login champion and then 3 Doom Tower legendaries. I'm not going to get any more because we've claimed them all. I will eventually get Quintus and Saoirse over time. It might take me a while to do it, but we'll get there eventually. So yeah, so we are losing the pool there. We do have a Remnant summon. I'm saving this for a personal CVC, because if we get a mythical champion on a CVC, it's like 70,000 points. So I'm saving this summon for that window rather than doing it right now. So we got 4 Void Shards. To be honest, the chance of getting anything from 4 is very low. So if anything, all I want out of my 4 Void Shards is a Vanguard for the Lady Mikage fusion. That's what I'm struggling with right now. We would like an epic just to get us closer, but if we get 4 rares, we get 4 rares. It's not the end of the world. Skirmisher, can we get a Vanguard? I really have been trying to get a Vanguard for about 4 weeks now, and I just cannot. I remember fusing so many Vanguards. We didn't actually get another Vanguard there, which is really frustrating. So that gets us to, by just putting 4 Void Shards, around about 2,000 points. That's where we're at the moment. So I need to find 1 more legendary. Now I've got an epic Bovos that I can fuse. That will give me 2250. So I just need to find 1 more epic champion from the summons. It could literally be a Sacred Shard if I needed to do that, or I can just pull maybe a couple of Ancients to try and get the last epic in the bag. I don't really want to pull any more legendaries. You know, there are good rewards on this champion chase, but I'm not going to go deep at 3,000 or 5,000 or any of these nature here. It's a very expensive pool to go further into. I'm not looking to do that. So what I can do now is I can stop pulling shards, because I know I'm going to get 25 from the Fire Knight tournament. I'm going to get 25 from the Arena tournament. I'm going to get 25, 25, and 25. So I've got 125 events as of tomorrow So that will give me enough to basically summon 2 more Bovos, and that's exactly how many points I need to get the final fragments in the champion chase for the Bovos. So basically 4 Void Shards has got me where I need to. Now I have used a lot of legendaries. Not everyone has those available, but certainly if you saved your Tormin, the Giscard promo code, it gives you a good leg up with those additional Bovoses to get this done in a pretty efficient and cheap manner. The nice thing as well is I'm going to be able to skip the hero's path if that hero's path is just not very good at all. I don't really want to have to go and do a bonus hero's path if it's not going to be very valuable, especially when it's over Christmas. So yeah, so now I've got to work on a few more champions. I'm working on lots of champions for the Soul Cross. There is lots of different stages that is going to be requiring champions built up and mastered. Chronum is going to be used. I'm going to test him on Amius, and Jetney is really for stage 2. Tormin I'm going to build for Arena, right? This is where Jetney is going to get used for. She's going to come in here and be the decreased defense champion for this wave. Without Jetney, it's much harder. I believe anyway. You can do it. I think there's some people here that have probably done it without Jetney, but they're using something like Royal Huntsman, which I also don't have. So I'm going to use Jetney as my decreased defense champion and then kill it, hopefully, with Rorik. You can also just run 5 times Soul Bond, I guess. That's what the old Secret Room strategy was. So there you go, guys. That is me pretty much on course for Blizaar. How long have we got left? We've got 1 week, 2 days. I've got 2 Bovuses, 3 by the time I finish this, and I've got 25 fragments left. So I think the only things left then is a few tournament events. I've got a bit of energy to burn today to get through. And then we'll be on to the end of the fusion and the end of the year. I think the fusions this year have been pretty powerful. We've had Emic, we've had Newt, we've had quite a few sort of really big champions. I think right at the start of the year, we started off with Pythium, which was crazy. We've also had some clangers really in the fusion pool. We've had Loriarka, not the best champion in the world. I don't really think this Blizaar is a crazy champion, but I'm doing it anyway. There's lots of, it's kind of like swing and a miss for some of them. But, you know, you never know with Cintranos when you need a specific champion. If we come up to a rotation in the future and we need a freeze champion and Ogryns are available, then this guy might be the one we have to go to for that Fire Knight hard team. We'll have to see. But it's always worth doing. Like there are stages right now in the current Cintranos that require fusions that you would have skipped. Like Loriarka is probably going to have to come into this team. I don't know if anyone has done it without Loriarka, but I would imagine a lot of people are using Loriarka. I mean, most people seem to be soloing it with Ragash, probably crazy Ragash builds that they're using here with the Steel Skull. But absolutely Loriarka should be able to come in here, because the reason why Loriarka is pretty good is she's just going to help us get back around to our abilities quicker on a 3-turn cooldown. We're going to get a block debuffs and a turn meter fill. It's just going to be helpful that we can actually just rotate turns very quickly. A lot of these Soul Cross stages, the enemies are very fast. So guys, I'm going to close out the video there. If you're going for the fusion, good luck. Make sure you get those last few fragments in. Try to get as much as it done before the festive break so you can take a bit of a breather. I hope that they won't put a fusion right at the start of the new year. It would be nice if we had a week off so we can catch up and sort of recalibrate. We'll see what happens. Let me know what you have managed to get out of your Void Shards if you're going for a ×2 Void. I do think this Carolon is probably a bit underrated on our website now that I've had time to really reconsider and think about him. So I'll probably do a bit of a revision of him after this video comes out to actually just double check his numbers to make sure that we have actually rated him appropriately. But there you go. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next video.